In the beginning of the anime, we see two boys, one of whom is named Lelouch and the other is named Suzaku, and these two were watched by a green-haired girl hiding behind, and then Britain starts war in Japan. Britain is a very big empire that has taken over 70% of the countries of the world, and now they also take over Japan, and Geass also take over these countries. They put the name of that country at a number and they occupy Japan and name it 11, and they also call the Japanese people 11, and they do a lot of cruelty to the Japanese people and consider them terrorists. And then we are shown, look who says to Suzaku, I will destroy Britannia. Then we see the scene 7 years later where Britain completely occupies Japan, and we see some Japanese people who Britain considers terrorists. There was a helicopter lying in the back of his truck, and then after that we see a rich man because there was an old man playing chess, and then there are two boys, one of whom is named Lulu and the other is his school. Friend Lelouch tells his friends how much time is left to go to school. Then his friend says 20 minutes. Then Lelouch says, I can flip this game in 9 minutes, and he starts the game and keeps his first move. Then we see the same Japanese truck where the girl named Kellen was talking. Our men did not follow our orders. That is why the army has fallen behind us, and here we see where Lulu's won the game and starts getting up from there. Then we look at Clovis. Britannia has a third difference. Only then a man comes to her who calls her. We thought there was only gas in that truck and there was something very dangerous in it, a weapon. Lovis says we have to catch them ASAP, and here we see Lilus and his friend who go out to their school, and then behind them there comes a truck of Japanese Luko who jumps down from the bridge and spits, and there is a lot of crowd gathered there to see them, and Lilus sees this. No one wants to help them, and Lilus sees this, and Lilus starts to go towards that truck, and as soon as Lilus climbs on top of that truck, he hears someone's voice, and Lilus gets confused and starts the truck and runs away from there. So Lilus falls inside that truck and the army falls behind that truck again. Shoot up! And then Kellen tells the truck driver to leave everything to me, and Lilus looks at Kellen and says, I have seen it somewhere, and we see something comes out of the truck which destroys the helicopter of the British army, and we see that a mecha robot comes out of the truck which has Kellen inside, and this mecha robot these people call the Nightmare. But then he comes into a knight of the Britannia army who starts falling heavily on Kellen and starts destroying Kellen, and we see a knight in front of that truck, due to which that truck driver turns his truck somewhere else and takes it into a tunnel and sees us inside the truck because he understands that we are now inside a tunnel. And then the next, in it we see a professor who was talking to an army soldier. Then an assistant of the professor comes there and she asks him that the weapon that has been stolen is a chemical weapon that is a poisonous gas. And again we see the same truck which was still in the tunnel, and the whole army of Britain fell behind it, and we see the same truck driver. He was shot and seriously injured. Because of Geass, he cannot drive the truck and hits the truck in one place, and seeing this, Lulus is also afraid, and the army soldier also knows about it, and only then Lulus does not know what is going on. He opens the gate of that truck, and then a soldier from outside sees Lulus inside and comes quickly and gives Lulus a ticket. And the soldier grabs Lulus by the throat and he thinks Lulus is a terrorist. Then Lulus takes him away from himself and he tells the soldier that he is not with these people, and then the soldier gets shocked when he sees Lulus and takes off his helmet and sees Lulus. That soldier is none other than his childhood friend Suzaku, and Lulus is shocked to see him. Why did Lulus think Suzaku had died? Because of the war, and Lulus tells Suzaku that Suzaku has become a soldier of Britain, and why does Lulus not believe it? Suzaku was a citizen of Japan, and that's when the weapon starts shining and very fast lightning starts coming out of it, and it opens and a green hair from it. The girl comes out and Suzaku is surprised to see this because she had received such information that there is a poisonous gas in it. Then in the next scene we see Callan, who finds out about this weapon, and she starts worrying about the truck driver who was injured very badly, and we see Lelouch and Suzaku, who was surprised to see this girl. There was no poisonous gas in it, so the leader tells Suzaku to be quiet and says to Suzaku, but you are very brave, that's why I'm giving you another chance. Kill these people and kill this terrorist. He explains to Suzaku, that he is not a terrorist, he is an ordinary citizen of Britain who was stuck in that bus. We cannot kill a civilian like this. But then he who is the leader shoots Suzaku, and Lulu is shocked seeing this, and that leader says to Lulu that now it is your turn, give that girl to us and we will start hiding you. And then we again see the same truck driver whose condition was very bad, and yet there was a button in the car which he pressed it so that there is a very big blast, and we see Clovis so that an army officer gives a report of this, and Clovis gets angry and gives an order that there are people to win in Shinjuku, finish them all, and much on his order. A lot of army soldiers start killing Japanese people very ruthlessly. Children, young people, old people, kill them all. They have no mercy on anyone, and we see Lelouch who escaped from those soldiers, and he tells that girl all this has happened because of you, and Britannia also killed Sujako. How can they do that? And then we look outside the tunnel where that professor says, I want to launch the last slot, and we look at Lelouch who came out of the tunnel with that girl. But then some soldiers of the Brittany army come, and Lelouch sees them and hides. But then a school friend of Lelouch calls his phone at the wrong time, which makes those soldiers know about Lelouch, and that soldier Lelouch and that girl catch, and that soldier tells Lelouch that this is the right place to kill a terrorist, and by saying this he fires a bullet at Lelouch. Then seeing this, that girl comes in front of Lelouch and that bullet hits him. Because of Geass, that girl starts dying, and Lelouch gets shocked seeing this and starts saying soldier. Anyway, later we were going to kill it, and we see that those soldiers had killed a lot of Japanese people very ruthlessly, and Lelouch didn't understand what was happening. Does he think I'm going to die? No, it can't happen, and he remembers his system nunnery, and then immediately the girl grabs Lelouch's hand. Because of Jesus, Lelouch comes to a different dimension, and that girl says to Lelouch, do you want to die? But I don't think you have any reason to live. And the girl goes on to say to Lulu, if I give you strength, will you live? This is a deal. I will give you strength, but you have to fulfill one of my wishes. If you accept my deal, then from today you will not be an ordinary person. You are different from the rest of the humans, which will change this world. So from today, this power is yours. So Lelouch says, okay, I accept this deal, and we see the scene again where Lelouch stands up and says, how can one Britannia kill another Britannia? So the soldier says, what happened all of a sudden? And then brother Lelouch raises his hand from his eyes, and we see a different kind of eye comes to Lelouch, and he says, Lelouch, Britannia, I give you the honor to die, and those soldiers don't know what would happen. They shoot themselves, and there are soldiers to win. They all die, and Lelouch says, I was lying to myself from that day on. I said I would destroy Britain, but I could not do it because I was weak at that time, but I have the strength to change the whole world. And then there is a loud blast and greed. There comes a nightmare who has a lady, and she asks lustfully, what is the Britannia student doing here? There is no answer to the two. Because of this, that lady shoots around him, so lust is on her eyes. Uses it and orders her to come down, but it has no effect on her. Then Lulu understands that if I have to use it, then the human should be in front of my eyes. Then Lulu lies to that lady and says, my father is the ruler here. I have an ID card in my pocket. Will you check it and let me leave here? Hearing this, she comes out of the Lady Nightmare, and only then Lelouch gives her an audit that give me your nightmare, and now it has an effect on this lady, and she comes under the control of Lelouch and gives her her nightmare kit, and Lelouch takes it away. Only then the effect of control on that lady ends, and she does not know what just happened, and in the next scene we see the same professor who saved Sujaku. The professor tells Suzaku that you are dying, asks Suzaku where we are now. Then the professor tells that there is no need to take tension. Right now we're in Shinjuku and we're with Prince Clovis, so there's nothing to worry about. The professor then asks Suzaku if you have ever played Nightmare, and Suzaku says never. Sir says you are a Japanese. A Japanese has no right to touch them, and if you want to run, you can run. The greatest nightmare in the world is waiting for you. And we see the carpet who was very angry at the Brittany army because they killed a lot of Japanese people. And here we see a guy named Yogi who is Kailin's teammate, and Kailin gives him an order to save as many Japanese people. And then we see the scene of Lelouch's school where Lelouch calls his friend whose name is Sarli. Tell Sarah, where are you? If you keep missing classes like this, you will fail. And Lelouch asks Sarli, what is on the news right now? Anything on the news about Sinchucks? Charlie says, no, it's not like that. Just being told about the traffic here, Lilu understands that Britain will end all this and make a false story and give it to the media and show people that nothing happened. Lilu then tells Charlie to tell my sister that I will be late today, and she cuts off the phone. Because of Geass, Charlie is very angry with him. Then Lilu's mentally says, there are so many Britons here, I can't handle all this alone. Why don't I use the one who got me into this trouble? And then Lilith connects to Kellen and speaks to her, run over that railway line towards the west exit. Then Kellen says, who are you? Who told you this code? Lily says it doesn't mean anything to you. If you want to win, then trust me. Then Kellen takes her word and starts walking her somewhere on the way and asks her what to do next. Then Lilith says, just trust me without any questions, and a train comes from ahead and Lilith gives her orders, jump, and Kelly jumps. Because of Geass, a nightmare becomes slow, and then Lulus attacks the nightmare of Britannia, and Kellen also moves forward to attack him, and the guy inside that nightmare gets out of there using the emergency seat. So Kellen says, I survived, and she asks Lulus, who are you? Only then Kellen's teammates arrive there, and only then Lulus orders them all that I was on that train. I have some toys for you to play with. You can go and take them, and if you have to enjoy the game, then follow my order. And we see there are a lot of nightmares in that train. This Japanese team of life takes over, and Laluchu tells them all, just wait for me, I'll give you an order. And in the next scene, we see Chloris, where everyone finds out that the Japanese have hijacked her train, which is why she got the nightmare. Then we see where that Japanese team is. They are talking that the guy who is giving orders to them is not a person from Britain because he wants to trap them in his trap. But Woggy says that we have to do as he said. Beyond that, we have no other way. Then Laluch orders them to fight. On the orders of, they attack the Britannia army and eliminate 2 nightmares of the Britannia army, seeing which Flovis also gets sobbed, and Alucia says, as long as the terrorists are under me, my path will be clear, and he and the nightmares start giving orders to attack, and all the Japanese start dominating the Britannia army. An army officer of Britain is shocked, and Clovis also bursts to see this, and the Japanese army was one by one eliminating the nicknames of all Britain, which Clovis goes to see. Okay, and then the professor makes a video call to him and tells him that now the time has come to use my special weapon. The soldier says, which weapon, brother? You? Clovis says to him, fuck you and your weapon here on the order of Luluch. The Japanese army was taking the British army. Only then does Luluch make a plan and order all the Japanese, thereby killing a lot of Britannia. It ends, and Clovis remembers his status and says that right now I'm fighting stories. Who is this bitch? Clovis says to that professor, will that toy of yours be able to withstand all this? So the professor says the first thing is his name is Lancelot, which will chew these Japanese people raw, and we see Suzaku gets ready wearing his suit and starts going to his night, and we see the Lance Lodge Nightmare who looks very dangerous, and the professor says to Suzaku, Suzaku, use it as you like, and Suzaku sits in his Lance Lodge and launches it, which the professor has a lot of fun seeing. Only then a guy from the Japanese team sees that something is coming from the front of him, and only then Lance attacks him, and Lilus also gets this information that they have been attacked, and the Japanese team starts telling him that there is a new nightmare which can also stop the attack, and we see Suzaku starts killing those Japanese nightmare one by one, and Lilus does not understand what is going on, and Suzaku also attacks Ogi, and Suzaku, Lilus, and that girl starts thinking, and then he sees a nightmare in the building. Who was the nightmare of Liluz? Then Suzaku goes above the building and attacks him, and Suzaku knows that this guy is the commander, and we see Suzaku Luluz falls from the top of the building and brings it down and was about to attack him, that only then she stops him and his nightmare stops in front of Lance Loth. She quickly gets out of there by using the emergency seat, and Lulus also escapes from there by avoiding Suzaku and thinks that I also have to fight well, and Suzaku falls behind her again. Then Lulus fires at him. But Suzaku's lance loss is very dangerous. He escapes his attacks, and Lulus is shocked to see this. Then Suzaku sees that Akadi was falling from the top of the building with her child, so Suzaku abandons Laluch's chase and saves her. So now the professor's assistant calls Suzaku and says, if you are tired, you can stop it, and Suzaku says, no, I can fight. And in the next scene, we see one soldier comes into Clovis area, and the other soldier says to him, who are you and why are you here? That soldier takes off his helmet and we see that he is no one else Lulu's because he uses his eye on that soldier and tells him to let me in. And in the next scene we see Kellen and Ogi who had rescued some Japanese people and put them in a place here, and then there is a blast and a lot of soldiers from Britain come there. Clovis's voice comes and he announces, I, Third Prince Clovis, give orders that no attack will be made. Everyone should go to a safe place. 11. Be it Britain or help every injured man. This is my order. And saying this, he cuts the call and we are shown Clovis. What he is saying is either all this is fine or I should do something else like playing chess with you. Just then, the man he was talking to, he says that memories are fresh. You don't remember we used to play 7 chess and you always lost. I remember that near Rice Imperial Villa. Clovis says, who are you? Then he says, soldier. It's been a long time, brother, and Clovis is shocked to see that that soldier is none other than Luluk, and Luluk is none other than Clovis's brother. Clovis says to Lulus, how are you here? You were dead, weren't you? Lulus says, I'm back to change everything. And then in the next scene we see where Britannia let the Japanese go, and Britannia's army was saying, is this Prince Clovis gone crazy? Let the Japanese go, they stole our gas, how can we let them go? Then in the next scene we see where Laluz gives account over Clovis, and Clovis is saying, I am very happy, Laluz. I heard that when you were in Jaman, when we attacked it and we thought you were dead, but I am happy that you are alive, so would you like to go there with me? So Laluz says, so that you can all use me as a political weapon again. Perhaps you have forgotten how we were used, and that was because Mom had been killed. Mom's rank was Knight Hunar. The rest is common. She was a minor thing for the other princesses. Mom was attacked and killed by a terrorist, so Clovis says, but it wasn't me. So Lulus asks her, you tell me who he was? And then he uses his eye on her and asks her who killed Mom. But it turns out that Clovis doesn't really know anything. That's when Lulu says, if a man like you becomes a prince, this world will never change. And saying this, he puts a gun on him and kills Clovis himself. After that, we see Lilus, who was in the school, and asks Sarali, where were you yesterday? Then Lilus says that I was this. Then they all go to their class. Then they see that some children were watching the news. But Lilucci is shocked to see that there was nothing in the news about Clovis's death, and he wonders why they are hiding all this. And then in the next scene, we see Einstein and Veneta, because they were saying that Prince Clovis is no more. Einstein tells him to wait for the next order. Then we will see there is a girl in school who... It came a long time later. There is no one else, and Laluchu sees it and understands it. This is the same terrorist, so Laluchu starts seeing him. Then she tells her friend that the girl is very sick, so she doesn't come to school for many days. But he is very rich. Then the next day we see where Kalen is in the school grounds. And then Lilu goes to him and says in her mind, I knew this was him. And Kalen says, do you want something from me? Then Lilu uses her eye on Geass and asks her that yesterday you were driving Nightmare in Sanjuku, right? So Kellen says yes, and Lilu Chung says, why are you a terrorist? So Kellen says, because I'm a prison. But half of the blood in me is of Britannia, so Laluch says half. But why did you go so far? And that's when Laluch removes his control from him and Kellen tells him what you were asking me. Then Laluch says no, nothing, and he starts to leave there, but before he leaves he uses his eye on Kellen and says to her, don't tell anyone about the Shinchks. Kellen says, what are you talking about? Then Liluch gives her another order and says go to class, but Kellen doesn't have any effect on this. She says that if I don't go, Liluch understands that the power of the eye can be used only once on a human being, and we see that Saradvi is watching these two from behind. And she says hi to Laluj, and she says to Laluj that you go to the lab. Then Laluj starts going to the lab quickly, and he is thinking only about the power of the eye. And then in the next day, we see Laluj comes to his house where his sister is Nanali and his maid is Sayo. Then we find out that Laluj lives on the school campus, his sister Nani, and Liluch's sister can neither see nor walk, so Liluch has put a med here to take care of him. And here we see Batley, who is asking his research division to move because he thinks that he may also have a hand behind the death of Cloves. Then in the next scene we see Liluch, where neither Nali was telling him that the missing today was teaching him to make toys out of paper, nor Nali. Today the singers taught me how to make a paper bird. She said that if I make 1,000 paper birds, one of my wishes will be fulfilled. He asks Lelouch, what is your wish? Then Nali says, I just want to see you once. Then Lelouch says, this honor will definitely be yours. You will see the whole world in one day, I promise, and nobody here knows that Lelouch is the Prince of Britain and his sister is a princess and he doesn't want to tell anybody. Because if anybody finds out, all his friends will break ties with him and eventually he will be used in politics again. After that, we see the school scene where Lelouch goes to Kellen and says, I need to talk to you, which all the girls are shocked. Then Kellen says, I need to talk to you too, and we see in the next scene where Jeremy attacks Batley's base because the UK. Here you think that Batley is behind the death of Chloros. Then we see in the next scene where Lelouch is talking to Callan and tells her that no one will disturb us here, but only then there Lelouch's friend and council president comes and says to Lelouch, you know Callan, this you did right that you brought it here. Callan, from today we are adding you in the student council special. My grandfather had asked you to add who is the chairman of Britannia. He had said that your body is weak so you cannot go to any party. So I thought that's what we're going to do, so I did all this. I'm Millie, the student council president, and Lelouch's friends tell her their name. My name is Rev. And my name is Shirley, and I am Nina, and then Nali comes with the cake. Then Millie tells Kaylin that Nali is Lelouch's sister, and Lelouch drops beer on Kaylin while partying. Because of this, her clothes get wet, so she goes to the bath. Lelouch then tells Kaylin that even though you are in presidential counseling and you have to do a lot of work, after that they go to their friends where they were all watching the news where they were telling about Clovis's death, and who is the Japanese team of Kalon also knows this, and Britannia put the accusation of Clovis's death on Suzaku because he is a Japanese and they do not trust the Japanese. That's why they consider him a traitor. Then we see in the next scene where he was asking Suzaku answers some questions in the jail. He shows Suzaku a stench and says that Clovis was murdered with this gun. I have also checked it completely and I have also taken information about you. Since you are the son of the last Japanese prime minister, my suspicion grew even more. Joe explains to Suzaku that I didn't murder Clovis, but Soldier drops Suzaku down and Jeremy tells him that your fingerprints were found on this gun. If you confess your sins, you will receive a Britannian holy punishment. But Suzaku says I didn't do that. Then the next day we see Nilu and her sister. While Luluvo Suzaku was also very worried about this matter, and Nali asks her if Suzaku is really still alive. I thought he was dead. Then we see the Japanese team in the next scene where Ogi is told by his teammate that this news of Suzaku is very good. I told you not to keep an eye on every news. You don't know when what will happen, and say that he should leave there. Then Ogi says in his mind that I could not be a good leader, and then in the next scene we find out where the whole world knows that the third defense Clovis has died. And then in the next scene we see the professor who was worried for Suzaku because he thinks that he is a guy who can use his long sulot well. After that let's see who came to a museum. And there is a lady who gives him a device which was sent to him by Lelouch, and he does not know. And he gets a call from that device whose name is Zero. Then Lelouch tells Ken to grab the crane and bring his friends with him. Then Kellen says yes. Then the next day we see Jeremy telling a man that something really bad happened to Prince. I feel bad for him, and he says to that guy, I have tested your ability, but if you told us about Maharaj's memory plane, then maybe we could have done something. After this, your loyalty has been proven and your rank has increased. Do you want to join the military? We lack people like you, he says Vanda. I don't think I'm right for that, but if you start broadcasting, Jeremy says yes. Will you do something for me? Tomorrow night we have to present Suzaku in the military court. We want there to be only Britons who love their country. Then we see Kellen the next day where Lelouch is talking to her as Zero and says to her, look to your left, and what do you see? Kellen says, a city in Britannia that stands because of our sacrifices, and Lelouch says, now look to the right, this is our city. which is destroyed by Britannia, and Lelouch orders her to go to the room in front of the train, so Kellen also obeys her and goes there, and she sees that there is a person there in strange clothes, and Kellen asks her, "What happened? Who was the one who ordered you in Sanju?" And this is no other Lust who comes as Zero, and he says to them, as for how it feels to win, a guy from Kellen's team says, "Now this is the same bastard man," so Lulu says, "Hold your tongue and talk." After that, Yogi says that there are some quarrels between us and Britain. This is also useless, so we are doing all this. Then Lulu says, "Wrong, you cannot defeat Britain with these small attacks. Terror is not children's play." So Ogi says, "You mean we are children?" Tells Lulu-chan, "Your enemy is not the Britons. Your enemy is the Britons. Don't involve the common people in this. Prepare yourself and support justice," says Kellen. This is easy said but difficult done. Why should we trust you who can't even show us your face? Show us your face. So Laluz says, "Okay, I will show you, but I will not show you my face. I will show you my strength. If I make the impossible possible, will you trust me? I killed that Prince of Britain. We must not forget that Suzaku is a hero. He is Japanese. He is from your country. He's not Japan's last prime. He was the son of the man who abandoned Japan. People don't even know if he's alive or dead." Then in the next scene, we see some soldiers who are talking about Shinjuku and Sujagu, and these are all Japanese who want to liberate Japan from Britain. Then we see the professor in the next scene where he tries to save Suzaku. "We tried our best, but Britannia's higher didn't listen to her," and in the next scene we see Suzaku, who Britannia was taking to kill, and a lot of Britannia were happy to see Suzaku in such a condition. Then in the next scene we see where Jeremy stops because someone was bringing Clovis's car from the front and nobody else is Kalon. And we are shown a past scene where Luluch was telling Kellen and Ogi that you two are enough, where Kellen says you are crazy. "What do you think? How many people there will be?" Then Luluch says, "Just don't say anything more than that. You two are enough. You just wait for tomorrow and leave the rest to me." And then we see the present scene where Kellen is. One brings the car of Lobus and stops in front of Jay and me. Then Jay and me sees this and says, "Come out. How dare you touch Maharaja's car?" But then we see Lulu's comes out of it, and Jay and me and all the Britannia are sad to see him, and he says, "I am Zero," and all the people are watching all this on the news and are wondering who is Zero. Then Zermi says that you have had enough, and he calls some nightmare over there, and Zermi tells Luluk to take off your mask. Only then Luluk raises his hand, and from that car comes out of their poisonous gas weapon, and Luluk says in his mind, "For you, who hasn't seen what's in it yet? This is poisonous gas." Only then does Jazza realize that Zero has captured all Britannia here. He can kill the whole of Britain by using this poisonous gas whenever he wants. And all the Britons here do not know that he has become a prisoner. Then Lelo in Jahar says to him, "Okay, tell me what you want." So Zero says, "I want to make a deal with you. I want a suggestion." Then Zermi says, "This guy is accused of Maharaja's death. I can't give it to you." Then this Lilith says, "Zehermi, you are wrong. He is not guilty." And we see that the guy who is, he comes to Lilith with a camera and starts recording it. Lily then tells everyone, "The one who killed the Maharaja is none other than me." And the people who won were watching the news. They are shocked to hear all this. After that, Lalu uses his eye on Zermi and says, "Give me to Sujaku," and Zermi comes under his control. And Mos says, "Give Sujaku to Zero." And seeing all this, everyone is shocked that what happened to Zermi. Is this crazy? But everyone starts refusing Zermi, and Zermi says, "We should stay in our status. Give Suzaku quickly to Master Zero." And everyone does not know what is happening here, and we see Zermi frees Suzaku, and Suzaku comes to Zero and says, "I don't know who you are," and then just came to Kellen Liluz. So Zero says now is the time. After that, he presses the O1 button from which the weapon is activated, and that poisonous gas starts coming out of it. And seeing this, all Britannia are afraid and start running from there and taking advantage of this opportunity. Liluz also starts leaving there with Suzaku and helps him fully in poison because Kivo was still in his control, and Laluch's plan works completely, and he saves Suzaku and he goes safe from there. In the next scene, we see the Japanese team talking about Zero. "This guy is very dangerous. We have to support him. Do you think anyone can do this? Take this Japan It is also impossible, for the Liberation Front and Zero is so capable that we, members of the British Army, can fight with him, and we are with him so that we can fulfill our purpose. We have to liberate Japan, and only then do we see Lulu speaking to Suzaku. Don't you know how useless Britain is? If you want to change the world, come with me. So Suzaku says, did you really kill Kilois? So Lelouch says, this is war? If you need a reason to kill someone in war, Suzaku says, but what about that gas? How many people will die because of that gas? So Lulu says, it was all necessary. Anyway, it was a trick, no one will die. Come on my team, you must serve Britain. There's no need to go, says Suzaku, but I want to change Britain inside and out. I don't want to do anything wrong with you. And he starts leaving there. Then Lelouch says, wait, where are you going? The court-martial will begin shortly. Are you crazy? You have already proven a friendship. They will kill you, Suzaku would say. Says, if I don't go, then Britain or will persecute the Japanese again. So Lulu says, and you will die. Suzaku says, I don't care. Before my friend used to talk to me like this in everything. Are you crazy? I will catch you if I am saved, then if I have to die, then I would like to give my life for the people, and thank you for saving me. And saying this, Suzaku starts leaving there and keeps looking at Lelouch and is very angry at him, and we see Nanali, from which it is known that a guy named Zero has saved Suzaku. She is very happy with this, and we see the green-haired girl standing behind Nanali, and with this the video ends here. If you like the video, then like and subscribe. The next episode will also come soon, then like and subscribe.